I'm going to call this meeting to order. I'm glad you all showed up. It makes me feel good. Now that we got some people behind us. But I want to introduce our guest. This Miss Davis here. She's the city attorney. And we got two gentlemen from the state of Tennessee Department of Environmental and Conservation, Mr. Parrish and Mr. Slade. I'm going to do a roll call here. Delma? Here. Linda? Johnny? Here. All right, Miss Blankenship, absent. That means we have a quorum here, so we'll be ready to start business. On the first thing is the appointment of a vice mayor. Do I have it?
I like to make a nomination.
All right.
I like to nominate Vice Mayor.
Okay. She's got a little bit of problem with her voice right here. She's nominating Johnny Walker out here. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
All right. So, John, how do you vote?
May I vote yeah?
I'm gonna let you vote, buddy. Gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay, I vote for it. So the motion passes. Okay, the appointment of the city recorder. We had 4 other people that applied for this job. And going over it, I have picked Miss Bowman back here. I also went with her resume through MTAS, through the state, and they highly recommended her. So I'm going to make a motion that we hire Miss Bowman as our recorder for this.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a second. I'll call. How you vote, Linda?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Okay, the adoption of the April the 9th agenda. Do I hear I make a motion that we accept it? Do I hear a second?
She seconds. Linda. Speaking that thing.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The reading of the acceptance of March 12th regular scheduled mayor and alderman meeting. Do I have a
I didn't find anything in the minutes that I thought needed to be changed, so I would accept them as read.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carried. The financial report.
Are there any questions?
We're moving right along.
Are there any questions? Oh, okay.
You have any remarks?
Financial. I'm good.
Excuse me. Our time dog. I was just wondering what the 42nd Street. I know we have 42nd Street in Greenback, but I was informed that was
42nd Street is
website.
the website, yes.
Okay, the old business. I'm gonna get Mr. Parrish to give his report on this, update on the findings that he has found on this grant. I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Parrish. And if you hold your comments till after this here, then we'll get down to it.
Well, thank you, sir. My name is Gerald Parrish. I'm the Director of Service for the State of Tennessee. And Jameson Slugger, he's the Partask consultant for this region here. A month or so ago, the mayor informed us that we need to come down here and talk about the LWCF grant that the city received in 79, I'm sorry. This is 1979. The city applied for and received the Land and Water Conservation Grant in 79. In that deal, this part that we're looking back here at was part of the grant that was given to the city by the federal government. The land that this park is on is here forever and ever, and one day after the world explodes. It's to be a park, nothing else but a park. The mayor informed us through that this land had been deeded, quitclaim deed, over to the fire department. That can't happen. The city's not in compliance. By the city not being in compliance, they cannot receive our local grants or any grants in the future until they do get back into compliance. Now, according to what we know, and Jameson, the research that I've done, and with National Park Service, this piece of property, excluding the fire station, was included in the map on the NLU that protected this property for Parks and Recreation. And that's what it's got to stay. It can't be quitclaim to anybody that's not a local government agency. The city of Greenback is the agency that has to administer that grant and take care of that property forever and ever. That's what we know as of today, is that, and what we've stated is this has to stay a park, okay? I do understand that there's going to be some further discussion later on tonight about the process of that. But I'm just telling each and everybody, we're not here to do anything illegal. We have to follow the laws of the state of Tennessee, and we have to follow the laws of the federal government. The city received the grant. The city has to live up to their contract obligations that they filed that when they filed in 1979 to get the grant. Simple as that.
What can we do to keep these repercussions from happening? For instance, with the fire department being taken over, and we had land that we could have parked on. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Okay.
Okay. At this time, you know, we'll do what you want us to do. We'll take questions if you want us to take that questions, or move forward, or we'll sit down and you want to go on and we'll take comments at a later date.
Let's just take the later date, because sometimes they get.
Okay, that's fine. So, as we stated, we have no option in this. You have no option in this. It's the requirement of the federal government. It's a requirement of the state of Tennessee. We're not going to be out of compliance. The state of Tennessee, the governor's not going to let us do that. He's not going to let us lose federal money, because we're not talking about $100,000 or $100 million. We're talking billions of dollars that come into the state of Tennessee from the federal government. They have the right to stop that at any time, because we're not in compliance. We're going to stay in compliance. And for us to stay in compliance, we have to get you in compliance. Okay? He said, let's wait. He said, let's wait, and then we get comments.
I was just going to ask if you could identify that piece of art, you know, what we're talking about.
Can we identify it? Yes, sir. We have a map, and we have a deed that says what belongs in the park. We have it. And that's the one that's recorded by National Park Service that was sent to us, that was recorded when we did the grant back in 1979. Yes, sir. We'll take a seat. Yeah. All right.
We'll put you in timeout. At this time, I'm going to turn the floor to Ms. Davis here, our attorney, and she'll bring you up to date on what's going on.
Sure. Thank you. Mayor and Alderman. On March 8th, a complaint was filed in Circuit Court for Loudoun County, Town of Greenback versus Greenback Volunteer Fire Department, Inc. and Thomas Peeler. The reason for the filing of the complaint is the recordation of the 2 quitclaim deeds that were just discussed by the state officials. We have a number of reasons why we believe that the court ought to declare those quitclaim deeds null and void. Mr. Peeler didn't have authority to sign them. They were not authorized in a public meeting. The minutes of the meeting, even if it were a public meeting, didn't identify what was to be conveyed. Mr. Peeler was not the mayor at the time that the deeds were signed. There's a technical violation because it was done on only 1 reading, and it should have been 2 readings because it was a permanent situation where the property was to be conveyed. We have sued Thomas Peeler individually because he acted outside of his authority for the city, so we're asking that he be held personally liable for damages to the city for what the city has to pay in attorney's fees to get all this straightened out. And that's allowed under Tennessee state law under a doctrine called slander of title. If someone goes and records something that puts a cloud on your title, you're allowed to go in and sue to get that removed, and the person who wrongfully clouded your title has to pay for that legal action. Normally, everybody in the state of Tennessee pays their own attorney's fees, but this is an exception to that general rule. So we have filed this. It has been served on both defendants. Their time to respond to the lawsuit expires this week. They have 30 days after service to file an answer. I have not received any of the answers yet from either of the parties. As we previously advised, this whole thing could be dealt with very easily if the fire department would quitclaim back the 2 properties to the city. That would take care of it. So we're ready to proceed with this litigation. We feel like we're in good standing legally with the litigation, but it would be my hope that it wouldn't be necessary, that people could look at it practically and just give this money back to the town. Give this land back to the town for all of these reasons and because of the reasons that it's putting us in violation with our federal grant. So that is my presentation. Do you want me to take questions or wait to the end?
Let's wait to the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we've got us a website. I'm going to ask Wendy here to explain all that to you.
The website will be going up this week, going live this week, and so all of your events, all the event calendars, will be listed there, which is going to be really great. We've got breakfast with the Easter Bunny Saturday, just in case anybody didn't know that might want to come cook pancakes. It'll be great. Okay, anyway, so we've got that. We're going to have a bio on every council member. They're going to have, each will have their own individual email related to that site, so any correspondence happening regarding city business will be able to be traced back to that particular person. And if you have questions, you'll be able to contact them that way. We'll be having links to our fire department, our rescue squad, local businesses, the school, and all sorts of things that are going on down here, so it'll be completely tied into that. And it will be, by Thursday, completely live. It'll be cityofgreenbacktennessee.gov, and I'll be blasting that on Facebook to let everyone know that it is live and up and going. There will also be, our bees are coming this week. Our town bees are going to be put in this week, and the kids came down and named their bees. That'll be going on this week. We're putting purple martins out for the town, so that's purple martin condos. So that'll be on there. And there'll be a once a month, maybe twice a month, blog on there discussing things that are going on in our town that people will be able to respond to. There'll be places you can upload pictures and things going on in the town. So I'm really, really excited about City of Greenback, Tennessee. It's going to be a great thing. So it'll be live by the end of the week. Keep your eyes open for it, and I'll put a notice on the mayor's page on Facebook as soon as it hits and goes live. We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Can I say one more plug? Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't mean to. I don't know if any of you saw the video, but we Century Harvest Farms donated the land, and we killed us, broke ground on our community garden on Saturday. And they will be posting up sign-ups where you can sign up and go work in that garden. We're gonna start the planting and things like that, and all that produce will be going to our food pantry. And produce that we can pickle and things like that, we'll be able to sell to raise funds for our food pantry. So if anyone hasn't seen the video of it, check it out on the mayor's page. And if you're interested in signing up or volunteering in any way, on the website there will be links. Volunteer Greenback will be there, and it will give you every possible thing to volunteer with. And if you don't volunteer, we know the names of everyone in the city, and if I don't see you come across once every 6 months, I'll be at your door. We would appreciate people's help. It's a small town, and a small town is only run as it should be by citizens. We don't have taxes here, so we don't have a huge budget, and we count on everybody to pitch in. Luckily, every event we've had, we've had people pitch in the whole time. We really appreciate that, and it just gives a real significance. When you do something for your town, you take that ownership of your town, and it makes you closer to it, makes you believe in it, and it helps you believe in yourself. And so, I appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, I'm done.
We uncovered some bills that weren't paid by the previous administration, heat and air bills. We made those payments, and we sent them a letter of apology. So, and they responded very nicely about it. So. Now the new business, consideration of a event coordinator. That person, I'd like to nominate Miss Wendy over here. You can already see why we would like to have her. And she has been a tremendous help to me and this city about getting this stuff going, setting up these events, especially for the kids. And on Tuesday, we have the farmer's market.
On Wednesday, we have yoga.
Oh, yeah. Got yoga.
That we expect you to be at every time.
So, I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Wendy as our event coordinator.
I'll second.
Oh, we got that. How you vote, John?
Yeah.
John, you vote good. Oh, man. Motion carries. So, Wendy, you got a title.
Oh.
You can have my dollar that I get. Okay. I'd like consideration of a new pavilion over at the little park where the little kids are. The mothers don't have nowhere to get underneath or whatever. The park is there. It's going to stay there. So I would like to get some bids on it, what it's going to cost. Those little kids over, I'll tell you, we've really had a lot of kids over there here lately. And I don't think we can go wrong if we start these young kids out doing right. So I will get some bids on that, what it's going to cost, and then I'll bring it back to the city.
What size are we thinking about?
Well, I haven't figured that out yet, but
Oh, okay.
Miss Bowman back here, she built the pavilion up here at the Presbyterian Church. So,
With my dad.
I didn't even know you built. That's amazing.
I think she had her license.
She's good.
It's on her resume.
One of the reasons I hired her because she used to work for a company that done audits, and she audited the city of Knoxville and caught them in the bridges down. So, that's the reason they said that I should have hired her, so.
When can I ask a question on that?
Pardon?
When can I ask a question on that?
On the,
Now, wait till we get down here to the comments. Okay. There's a consideration of a stop sign on Morganton Road at the 95 intersection. I will have to get with TDOT and go over that with them.
that intersection right there.
Yeah. The thing about it is, when those kids leave this school over here, they get a little bit fast going down through there. And, the gentleman just moved in one of my shops over here. He had a sign he wanted me to give to me. It's about 3 foot wide, 4 foot high, and it says speed trap ahead. And he's got a cable to lock it so they can't steal it.
When they paved 95, they came through and made 95 a through street. No stop signs on it. And we had 2 wrecks right there. So that's why it was put back like it is now. Because that's the way it's been for years, and it's worked pretty good and successfully. And if you change it, a 3-way stop is the only thing that could be there that would work probably, and it's going to make traffic worse moving, I think, than what it is now. So that's one of them things we need to really get TDOT's opinion on and see what they can do. They did approve of putting it back like it is now. That's the way it was before they paid it. And they did approve to put it back like that, which, you know, seems to me, it doesn't take care of the kids going out this way and coming in that way down. But it does create a problem when that's going on. But other than that, I think it's the safest way, is the way it is. But that's just me.
I'd like to comment on it just a little bit. I live right there on that road, just a few feet from the 95. And we're getting a few more kids on that road there. And they do want to fly up through there. They have no consideration. They went so fast to actually run in through the house right there on that corner. So by putting a stop sign there, where they would have to stop 3 ways is a safety feature for the kids and the speed limit, because they do not comply with the speed limit going up and down that road. Now, I heard a comment said, well, they wouldn't recognize the stop sign. Well, you put a light above saying stop sign ahead. That's warning them there's a stop sign down there. You have to stop. This would not be the only road that would have a 3-way stop. So to me, what's more important is our kids being safe on these roads. I actually had to move my mailbox on one side, keep from being hit by oncoming traffic going so fast, to make it a little safer. I don't want to inconvenience any citizen in the little town of Green Bay. I've grown to love this little town and most of the people in it. So I'll make a motion that we get in touch with DDOT, the Department of Transportation. They actually had a stop sign there, and we had a mayor that did not want it, and I got in contact with them. I asked them why did they move it. They said that the mayor didn't want it, that we did not need it. My statement was, so the mayor tell the Department of Transportation what to do. They said no. I said, well, why did you move the sign? The mayor didn't want it. Well, you was told to do what the mayor said to do. In other words, he knew I was right. They took the sign up because the mayor at the time did not want it. They evidently thought at that time that we needed it, or they wouldn't have put it up. That's my take on it.
That's not true.
Take comments later.
Well, I'll look into it. I'll get a hold of them, see what they can come up with, but I do know there's a problem about them even coming into town, and since we've started having some more events up here, they really need to slow down around in that town. And I realize it's a state highway, so, and I don't think they let you put any rumble strips or anything else. So, and I'll get with Tim Guider to see if we can. He's been pretty good to me, I mean, up front and everything, so I'll see if I can't get him over here to patrol this, or I'll put my speed trap sign out. But, now, I've hired Roger Payne and Bob Martin. Things in this town is whipped to pots. The windows are shaking in this building right here. The weather stripping is gone. And we got to fix it. And there's a lot of things got to be done. I'm telling you. So I'd like the people to be patient. I've got one extra man, Bob Martin. I'm paying him what we paid the one man in gas money. So, mileage. So what does that tell you? We're getting on the right track. So, and once we get this property settled out, I think things will calm down. We can get things happening. We can get people knowing each other in this town, work together, and I appreciate you helping me. Now I'm going to turn it over to the floor. If you've got questions from the parish and Ms. Davis, raise your hand and keep it to about 5 minutes.
Can we address a question real quick about the park?
Park?
The park, about the pavilion at the park. And park, is there parking at the park? Is there a place to park at the park? I'm just saying, when you're doing the pavilion, would you check into possibly getting some gravel poured where when parents drive their kids over to the park, they have somewhere to put the car? Or is there a place to park?
They park on the
I've
side.
never been to park.
There is no prepared parking area.
Okay, I mean, it can stay grass, I'm just saying maybe we need to make a place, you know what I'm saying, for people to know where to
Well,
park.
they usually park on the sides or down here in this open field right here.
Okay.
I want to address Miss Mary on the stop sign.
Ms. Linda.
Miss Linda, I'm sorry, Miss Linda Black. When I was taking little T to school, when they came through page 95, I came back through and all of a sudden there was a stop sign. I came back through that evening to pick him up, stop sign was gone. Line painted across the floor on the pavement. Now I come through town and saw Tom that evening. He admittedly told me that he yanked it up out of the ground with a tractor and took it down and put it in the basement down here in the rec center. Now, if the state put that stop sign up, it was up for a reason. These kids need to slow down because there's more babies coming up and there's more stuff for them to do down here. And they walk from the school to ball practice, and they walk from the school to see, shut up. They walk from the school to see the big kids practice football. And if they get anywhere off the beaten path, they're going to get hit.
Well, that's another thing we're going to do, is about getting a sidewalk from here to the city up here. A lot of them kids I know are going up there to the diner after school.
Right from my house.
Not in front of her house, but.
So admittedly, I mean, yeah, he did that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to do it by the law and what they say. I'm not going to pad anything. You're going to get the truth from me. If I don't know it, I'll find you an answer. One way or the other. So,
But I've seen heads shaking.
yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
She's complaining about the road, I'm gonna complain about the park. It's right in front of my house, and when they had the picnic tables over there, they get over there and party and drink.
But when they drink, you call me.
Well, there should be signs posted, and then you better believe I will, because I don't like it.
Well,
I don't like the noise of the kids, but I definitely will not tolerate the drinkings.
well, that's your prerogative, it's called the law. But, matter of fact, Tom, when I fixed the volleyball court, Tom told me all I was gonna have over was a riprap.
There ain't been nobody over
Well,
on the volleyball court much.
well, it was when the net was up there because I built the thing
I
myself.
know you did. I know you did.
And-
And I appreciate all you're doing. I'm
Them
just saying.
kids took that rake and raked that sand down and come and told me, because I sat right over there and drank coffee with Mr. Gene over there.
Yes, you did.
And they put the balls in that thing, and they come and tell me, everything is clean, Mr. Birchfield.
Yes, they did.
So,
That's fine.
I'll enforce it.
But I'm telling you, I will not tolerate that drinking
Well,
from my house.
I don't blame you, I don't blame you. But,
And no, I don't own the park, but I live in front of it.
any more comments? You'd like to ask Ms. Davis, or?
And I do think that on the stop sign, I do agree with one thing that Delmer is saying is that people are so used to going right through there, that it is gonna take a learning curve to get people used to stopping out there, you know what I mean? And so, I love the idea, that Ms. Black has, where we have something that says, and even something that says new traffic pattern, new stop sign, and actually have an announcement at the school to let the kids know that that's there. Because I would say we are gonna go through, just like when they put the red light at 411 and people start blowing through it. Everyone kind of knows, it's common sense, if you live here, that if they put up a brand new stop area, you watch where to pull out, because you don't know if that person coming knows, you know, so there will be a learning curve to that, I really do believe, but I think it's imminent that, or very important that we put something letting people know there is a new traffic pattern there. Because if I was just like, you know, blowing down the road listening to music and I didn't know to look for it or was looking the other way, I would have blown through it, you know what I'm saying? So we really do have to make that very visible to them that they don't run it.
Well,
And as far as Kathy goes, I completely agree with that too, that if we do have a park there, then we do have an obligation as a town to monitor the activity that goes on public property. That would be no different than people hanging out on our tennis court drinking, you know what I mean? But the thing is with the park, is that it was so rarely used, and hopefully with community events, I'll put someone stand up. I'm hoping to plan some just community days there, like if we have a community cleanup day, things like that. If we have places to where people take pride in that, you know what I'm saying? If it's not a forgotten place, if you don't have little kids, you would have no reason to go by there. I've never been to the park myself, you know what I mean? So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But we could have, you know, adult meetings there. We could have games with adults and things there on the picnic tables, things like that. And so that just goes back to taking part in your community and taking pride in your community. So I will do my best at least to if you see anything, you let me know and I'll call on it anytime you want me to. Because I understand what you're saying is we are putting a lot of people located next to your house. I get that completely. But we don't have that problem here, and we will work our hardest not to have that problem here, but it does need to be a usable space for our town, and it needs to be an enjoyable place that isn't full of people hanging out there drinking. That shouldn't be happening, so.
Well, on what Delmer said about the stop sign, there was several wrecks there when it was the other way.
When it got changed. And then years ago, it was different. I don't remember how it was. Well, there was a stop sign on this side years ago, and that was but Highway 95 was a through street at that time.
And the school was over here.
And the school was over there, not here.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of difference, and at that time, when Highway 95 was through, and this end of Morgan Road was a stop sign, then the people coming out of town did not think they had to stop to go on down Morgan Road, so that was a problem.
It's a confusing place.
And I was in business on the other end of town at the same time, and it was that same way over there, and I don't know how many wrecks I seen there. So, it's up to whatever the state figures out is the safest thing to do.
And the state divided on that, right?
I don't know, the state, I will say it was okay by the state, that we do it back like it was. I'm not sure of that fact. That's just the way it had been.
When you say Rex, Boy, it was before. Are you telling me years back you had stop sign there?
Years back, there was stop sign on
So
one
that's
side.
when we come off of 95.
You
You
didn't
didn't
stop.
stop.
You didn't have to
That's
stop.
right.
That's stupid.
That,
Yeah, but we
that's the
weren't
way-
that big then. We weren't
Yeah,
as big
that's
as
the
we
way
are
it
now.
was for years.
School was over here, not
Yeah.
over here.
Right, I mean, it's a totally different situation.
Yeah, there was no
I mean,
321 and 95 was the main thoroughfare.
exactly,
That's
so
right.
it's not really
You
stupid.
can remember when it
Oh,
was-
yeah.
I remember it, yeah.
But it was the same way on the other end of town. Highway 95 was a through street.
Exactly.
And people would go through Greenback and head up Morgan Road, and I don't know the number of cars I've seen on Old record when I was in business because of that factor. So you got to figure out, and the state should know what should be the safest way to do it.
Yeah. Just like the red line, you know, everybody well, most people. We were, and I'm there every day, and we were having wrecks about weekly. The red line's been put up, and let me knock on wood, I don't think we've had a wreck since then. But they said, make, put that red line up, there's gonna be wrecks after, and there's not, so.
No, we've only had a few at that red light, because I live over there.
Well, I'm there every day. so
Yeah, I know, so, and I'm right behind you, so, you know, the thing of it is when I hear, I know.
But there was
Full
like,
steel.
there were 2 and 3 a week before.
Yeah, I know.
Because I saw, I don't know how many, very serious. And the only problem with the red light now is that the people coming out of Greenback think they've got the right of way to turn. And there's been that, we've got very close rates to that.
Well, the old saying, you can turn right on red, don't work anymore.
Not there. No, it's left, it's left is where they're turning it red.
Yeah, they're just looking both ways and saying, I don't see anything, and they're turning.
Yeah, if you go straight.
All right. We got it.
Can we discuss the property down here? Has somebody presented that to the fire chief, the easy way out, or the fire department's easy way out is to turn that back over and save everybody a lot of... Eventually, he's gonna have to do that, so, I mean, I'm sure he's a very smart man, you know, or person.
That's the first thing I done. I walked over and I asked, there was 3 guys in there. I asked if he'd have them to leave. He said, I can't talk to you. And I said, you can't? He said, no, I was advised not to even talk to you. So he's not talked to me. I ain't talked to him no more, so he made it plain. So I tried my best, and I have not, and will not say anything bad about the fire department. Those boys that go out there and fight fires, that's a volunteer, and they put their life on their hands fighting those fires.
It's not the volunteer, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're not saying there's anything wrong with that. We're just saying that apparently there's an individual over there that maybe Ms. Davis could go speak to and say, you know, this is where we're at. You know, if we want to go to court, we can do this, but it's going to cost monies that we don't really have to do that with.
I have to go through counsel. If they're represented by counsel, I can't talk directly to them.
Or
So,
I'm
yeah.
sure he's got counsel, but I mean, can't we do that to try to resolve this without spending a whole lot of money to?
Well,
We have tried and we'll
explained it
continue to
him.
try. We have tried.
We have tried.
And we'll continue to try.
I've heard the lawyer for the fire department has tried to contact the city, and the city won't return the call.
Absolutely not true.
They have
That's
not.
what I've heard, so.
Absolutely not true.
I asked.
It's all hearsay.
Well,
I would
we asked.
return that call in a second because I would love to see this resolved.
Yeah,
Okay?
he's not called. As a matter of fact, the previous mayor paid $2,750 to an attorney the day before he left. I have asked that attorney to give me a resume of all the things that covered. I have not ever heard back from him. So, I'm not putting up with the bull. I'm gonna tell you how it is, and Mr. Harris back here and Mr. Slager, they've done their job. They come and talk to me very nicely. I'm just doing it by the law. And that's why I got Miss Davis here.
Well, I told you mine was hearsay.
Well, you know,
Eric, can I say something? I didn't want to say this before she got up and made the spiel about the lawsuit and all that, but I do have to tell you this. If this stays in the fire department's name, the National Park Service will require us to do a conversion. That conversion is going to cost you $10,000 right off the bat for the application. Okay? At that point, you're gonna have to replace ever how many acres you got out here that we've got in the NLU. You will have to replace that at the present day's value. In other words, you will have to come in here and take a appraisal of this, what's inside the park values. And James has got that flat, and you've got the picture of that. And whatever the value of that is, you will have to replace it somewhere in the city. And you will have to develop that piece of property somewhere in the city to make a park out of it. It's all about those kids right out there playing in that court.
The city will have to do that?
Yeah, the city will have to do that. The city would have to do that. That is a requirement. That is called a conversion. And that's the only legal way that they will allow you to do that process. Is the process I just got to talk about, the conversion process. Yes, sir.
And I understand you right, that it can be at a different location as long as we have the same.
It has to equal the value. It has to equal the acreage and equal the value. So in other words, if this park today was appraised for $1 million, you would have to replace it with $1 million. And you won't get any money from us to replace it with that $1 million or that. So it will be on your city responsibilities, because that's what you said when the former, whoever the mayor was at the time that the grant, when you signed that contract, that was in the contract that you would have to remain a park forever and ever and a day after the world exploded. So as long as I'm alive and as long as I'm working for the state of Tennessee, I'm going to live up to that standard. So I'm going to require the city to do that. And I don't mind being the bad guy in that respect, because as I said, it's all about those kids right there. It ain't about Gerald Perry. It ain't about nobody sitting in this room.
Well, we hope that we understand how much we appreciate you here. We hope you're clear on the fact that the man who was our mayor for 44 years that deeded our property to the fire department is vice president of the board of that fire department that he deeded that property to.
And I understand.
And it's a ridiculous situation. So basically, he went on the fire department board and approved, we want this land, and then he came back here and served as our mayor and said, let's give him that land. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And I understand that, but you have to understand where I'm coming from.
I understand. And I truly don't
everybody
think that our city.
understand that.
Absolutely.
I'm protecting my taxpayers' money.
And we're gonna try our best to do the best we can to make it right.
And you have
Yes, I was gonna ask a question. Part of that land was that parking lot over there also. Is that also considered part of it?
I don't have the map with me. Jameson has the map, and she took a picture of the map. I can't tell you exactly. I can tell you what's cut out of a piece of property.
Okay,
At fire station right there.
okay. And that's the only
That is
thing?
the only piece of property that I know of that's in this area that's cut out of that. Jameson has a better understanding of that.
So that parking lot is
The parking
also?
lot behind T-Bones, I guess, I don't believe it's in the original parcel. As I was, we were talking about earlier before the meeting, it may be best to take that map and get a local surveyor to go out and drop the pins on that, because
Yeah.
from there's not really a clear way to define where that line runs.
Right.
This one's very simple. You go to the border of the fire department and you run straight down. And we know they added 30 feet to the original parcel of that, so that was the quick claim for this. This quick claim over here, you may have to get a surveyor to get those, drop those GPS points and find that border. I believe it takes if it's the road going down and excludes the parking lot, again, it's a map in 1979.
Right.
So,
Right.
We'll have to get a surveyor to overlay it
Yeah.
and see what of the original
What it
part was included in the quick claim deed property. And only a surveyor can tell us that. They just scoured them out and we just saw it the first time today.
Okay, great.
I thought even where Peepaw's, I thought it was in the property also.
The what?
And the city, where Peepaw's is right over here, I thought it was in the property too, and they gave it to the city.
I believe
gave
the
it to
city
them.
of Greenbacks owns that, but I don't believe that is in that parcel.
Okay.
And again, they took a picture of the map and sent it to me. It's not even on their digital files.
Okay.
So they went in their archives and found this map.
Well, I knew the city did
But
have
it
it.
does have those pins on it. So,
They'll figure it out.
yes.
I think that I'm missing the point here, because we're not converting this. If we made a mistake, the mayor went ahead legally and turned this over, and now we're trying to scramble, but that, and and come up with a like for like, but that's not the question here, because the mayor did something that was illegal. You know, that's our contention, and everybody's agreed to it. So we're not gonna try to turn this $1 million piece of property into something else in town. So we don't need it surveyed, because we know what it looks like. All we need to do is get the fire department, or whoever's in charge over there, to say, yes, it's wrong, here's it back, and keep going. If they don't want to do that, then we got to take them to court, get the quick deed back, and it goes away. Except we get stuck with the bill for having to do that.
That's correct.
All right.
I'm trying to not, but yes.
I've talked to him, you know, he don't want to talk to me. He won't even wave at me. But I still ain't gonna put them down. They do their job.
No, yeah.
You know, that property right out there, they gave me an easement to get down here to the building. So they took the road, and the road was part of the city going that way. That right beside the peephole went straight down there to that fire hydrant over yonder. And there, you know, and when we asked about closing the road, Ronnie said he'd have to close it if he had something going on. So if he had a ball game, you wouldn't be able to get in there. So.
I have a question. Was Mr. Peeler still legally mayor when he gave this to the fire? No. Well, then I don't understand what the issue is. If he was not mayor, he did it. It's illegal. So what? I don't understand.
If they will not concede that, I have to have a judge tell us that.
What's the timeline on all this?
Well, it could be resolved immediately if they would sign the quitclaim deeds, but if not, if we have to go to court, then you're looking at months, because by the time you go through discovery and get a court date, it'll be months.
Is there something from the state that's going to bang us if this is not done by a certain date? Are there fines, ongoing fines or anything you have to pay?
You know, I could write a letter to the mayor and say, Mayor, you got 30 days to get this resolved. But in doing that, that puts her and the court at a legal, it's something that they might not can live up to. So I can't do that. But I can tell him right here today, Mayor, you got X number of days to get it done, and we can follow it up with a letter. And you're right, sir. If this all goes, and you are too, if this all goes away, we're not here tonight.
Right.
We're not here tonight if this all goes away. If it doesn't go away, we're here tonight, and we're going to be here next week, and the week after, and the week after, until the mayor gets this resolved.
So we intend to get it done as quickly as possible, but just because of the system, it will take, I would say, 4 to 6 months at a minimum. Unless they would agree to do the quick.
And let me add to her, also, the 22nd day of this month through the 26th day of this month, National Park Service will be in the state of Tennessee. They're going to be reviewing our grant files. At that point, they're going to ask us a question. Have you got any conversions going on? I'm going to tell them, yes, we do, because we do have some. He says, have you got any potential conversions that you're looking at? And I said, yes, we do, because right now, Greenback is going to be one of those conversions if this doesn't stop. So I have to do that to protect us. And I'm going to do that until she calls me and says me or sends me a letter saying, this suit is over with.
Our families have to fight to get legal at this point. We're just having to fight to get back legal.
This is the only way to make it happen.
Right.
And then we'll do it as aggressively as we can.
What happens while we're waiting for the court system to catch up with us if the fire department says, hey, let's go out there and build something?
Y'all need to get on the phone to me right away because we get an injunction. But surely they know that this is an issue. They have been sued and they know that the title to the property is an
Apparently
issue.
that doesn't mean anything.
Well, you need to call me and we'll get an injunction. I would say that anything that they build is at their risk at this point because they know that they shouldn't be doing that until this is resolved, and they should know that they shouldn't be doing it, period, because this wasn't right.
We have tried to not schedule events in the pavilion because legally on paper right now the fire department owns the pavilion, and since the city's not communicating with the fire department, we don't know how to ask if we can use the pavilion for events, so I don't think it's a good idea to have city events on the fire department's property.
This pavilion right here?
Can't see that.
That's not fire department's pavilion.
Yeah, about
That's city Greenback.
That belongs to the city.
about 15 feet of it is right there.
That pavilion, that pavilion we're looking at right here.
Yes, it's not any part of that quitclaim deed?
That pavilion we're looking at right here
Yeah.
belongs to the city of Greenville.
But it's not, it was in that quick.
There was 30 feet added to the bottom of the fire department. Now, if there's a small square that goes into that pavilion, then yes.
Well,
We were told.
Ronnie, the fire chief told me that was his pavilion now, is what he told me, that we could use it, but, okay.
Again,
Yeah.
we have a map
Great,
that includes what it includes.
okay,
We have to go by that map.
okay.
If it says that deed starts right here on the corner and goes 160 feet, 160 feet down there. If it goes 40 feet wide, it's 40 feet this way, and whatever it is back up to here. That's what we're gonna go by. That's what we're gonna go by. No matter what was determined by the city by prior or after. That is the deed we've got. We have no other papers anywhere that has said this has been done, and that's been done.
One more thing. Ronnie must work, he works for the county, right? He doesn't work for himself, right? Doesn't somebody, he has to report to somebody, right?
It's his own, yeah, board of directors.
Board of directors. That's him, his son, Mr. Joshi right here, and Tom Peeler, and his son-in-law.
But he answers to the state.
But
What were you talking about? I was talking.
Board of directors, who's on your board of directors?
You know what, I know some of it.
Look,
I'm not on the coast.
I mean, they-
I'm not.
It's Tom's son-in-law.
I'm not.
Tom's son-in-law, Tom.
Is Eric?
Ronnie and
Ronnie,
Bradley.
Jack. I think Ronnie's president.
Bradley, not Jack.
Bradley, Father. I don't know. I really don't know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The thing
It
is,
has a
we're gonna
board
get our
that it
land.
answered. It's basically just a board.
Lisa has a question behind it.
So are you saying we should ignore the quitclaim deed as filed with Loudoun County currently?
You asking me that question? No, ma'am. No, don't get me involved. No way. And we're not against the volunteer fire department at all.
I have a son and husband in it. I'm not against it, but they need to do what's right.
And all this stuff.
Yeah, you were saying about the use
Because
of
we
the
were,
pavilion?
my husband's accident, we went in.
That
mediation.
is
That's how we
ours,
started.
according to the deed we have, but if part of it is on the quitclaim
sit down.
deed, and they're claiming it, it would be advisable not to use that at this time.
Yes, and I called him and he just got a voice.
I couldn't understand. I sort of like her.
Okay.
She can't speak good, and I can't hear good because I don't have my hearing aids in, and my batteries went dead. So if you'll repeat that again, I will try to answer.
I absolutely will. You said you have a deed that you are using, which shows the property.
That's correct.
Including the pavilion.
That's correct.
The quitclaim deed, one of them, includes part of the pavilion.
11 feet of
it. It would be advisable then for us not to utilize that pavilion currently.
That's what you're saying.
Well, I haven't looked at how much of the pavilion belongs to who at this point because we just saw this map. We would have to overlay and figure out exactly what belongs to the fire department, what belongs to the city, and then make decisions.
The fire department has 11 feet of that pavilion.
Okay.
In the quitclaim deed, they gave us the right to use it.
Well, again, what we're saying is you have what we have,
Yes.
the map. My suggestion would be to the city to do an overlay and mark the four corners of this piece of property. And that's what we're going to hold the city to by that map. And the dimensions of that map, or the description of that map. And wherever the 11 foot is.
Question, but it's a common sense question. If they're from the state and they know, can they not go talk to Ronnie and the fire department and tell them what's going on?
When we came and talked to, when we came and talked to the mayor, when we first come down here, I told the mayor I would go back and talk to our legal team.
Right.
And my legal team said this: the quitclaim deed is their responsibility. The state of Tennessee does not have
you
any.
can't go talk to
I
him?
cannot.
Okay.
And I cannot.
But he could have come here to hear that. I mean, he could, anyway, okay.
It will be on our website.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's no communication, but there is, but everybody needs to listen and it can be easily settled.
I didn't.
And I know Tom's not mayor anymore and he may not want to hear it, but I just can't see Ronnie not, the law's a law.
Yeah.
And it, I just don't understand it.
And that's the reason that.
That was the reason I was asking about mediation. My settlement was in mediation that we had with that terrible accident.
Right.
And we were going to.
But I just think we're adults. Everyone's adults. And it's in black and white what the law is. To me, that's a no-brainer. I'm sorry, but,
Some people don't realize.
I'm not counsel or anything, but it just makes sense that everybody could sit down and just solve it and be done. And it wouldn't be an issue anymore.
The reason why it is an issue is because it was done.
I know, but still, it's got to be settled, whether it was done legal or illegally. We can't just ignore it, obviously. And I just don't understand why they just can't sit down and talk about it and get it resolved and be done and move on. Move on. It's causing too much disruption.
I appreciate it.
I want to go back to the stop sign.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, it looks to me, and I'm going to be the common sense person here, we have an issue with the teenagers that are driving cars. Okay? Has anybody ever thought about doing a little driver education with them? And then the second thing is, you say you're friends with Tim Guyder. I hope you have more success. I've known Tim forever. And Meadow Road, where we live, they practice for the Bristol race every day out there. And the guy that said the only thing he's going to do, he'll write them a warning ticket. But he's not going to write them a ticket where they got to go to the judge. So can you get him to write tickets on the teenagers? Put them before the judge? That's the question. Because if you don't have good enforcement, you're not going to stop them. The stop sign's not going to stop them.
Evidently, they didn't include me, because they got me the other day from the seatbelt.
Shame on you.
Yeah, shame on me. I didn't turn over the road.
No, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Because to my knowledge, they don't write speeding tickets in the city limits.
Well,
and that's got to be resolved if you want to resolve the problem.
Hey, calm down a minute. Got too many calls. This thing about speeding is going to happen day in and day out. Those speed bumps that are in our town, they didn't solve a thing. I asked the mayor here, there were 69 people showed up about those speed bumps. The petition I had before I got on the council. He looked at it, he looked at me and said, the petition here, half these names are fictitious. He was a lucky man that night. Now, you have to do a survey through the state to put speed bumps up. They're not going to put a speed bump on 95. Ain't no way. They ain't going to put no rumble strips, I don't think. But I went with the state, got with their attorney on speed bumps. He said there's no way the speed bumps are going to slow them down. And what happens is the city of Greenback fixed those speed bumps 3 times. The first ones were 14 inches, 6 inches high. I've done a good business down at the shop fixing trailer hitches and a few oil things. But in the meeting, he said his friend goes across them at 30 miles an hour with a Corvette. Yeah, okay. They moved them out again. Then they got them real wide. Well, it's done exactly what the lawyer for the state said. You create a ramp for them to get airborne. So, but they are a huge, huge liability to any city. You let one wreck, and I've got a stack of lawsuits that I looked through. Them things, they might work in a subdivision, but right here in this little town,
I'm not in favor of speed bumps. I'm wanting enforcement.
Yeah.
Real enforcement, not we're gonna write you a warning ticket. These kids do not pay attention to warning tickets at all. But if I have a state trooper pull me over for speeding, let me tell you, it's my attention. Now, I haven't had one in about 60 years, but that's okay. The point I'm trying to make is, I remember being a teenager, okay? And I'm just telling you that unless the man gets you and writes you the real ticket, you haven't got their attention.
Well, I will get with the principal over here and with Jason Vance and see if they will have a program over there about this speeding and stuff to kind of maybe wake them up. And Mr. Vance called me the other day and he said he wanted to ask me what the city needed that he could help with. He said the previous mayor would never return a call or nothing. I said, well, I'll be calling you. And so I'm new at this. I am trying to work it out. It takes time and it takes patience. And I appreciate your job. So,
well, it's all for the protection of the kids like they're concerned about. But you've got to have enforcement to stop these kids that are speeding. I mean, you know, like I said, Meadow Road, they're practicing for Bristol Raceway every day and every night. I mean, that's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And a lot of them are doing 60, 70 up through there.
Well, I think...
And we've told Tim, put a deputy in our driveway. We don't care. Slow them down.
I'm just going to recommend...
I'll get to you in a minute.
Okay.
That Tim, I realize those policemen can't be everywhere, but I think I can get Tim to work with me because he never had any cooperation before. And we were kind of like the red-headed stepchild across this river. And I'm trying to change it. So I'll work my best at it.
So I appreciate that. I was making a comment.
Yes.
Without enforcement, we haven't got it.
Yeah, I know. But I think they just didn't like the way they were treated. I think, I'll personally tell you what I told them.
I'm with you. I've designed speed bumps. I've designed the ramps in subdivisions, in retail facilities. They don't solve anything, but I think the best thing to do is consult with TDOT and ask them what the safest thing to do is. Consult with the county. They also have engineers in their roadway department to work together with them to find a solution to it. And if it's a three-way stop, it's a three-way stop. And I think that's probably, it may cause some slowdowns here and there, but I think probably looking at it just the best solution there is. But I think approaching them with it and approach the county roadway department, you could approach Mr. Wagner and see if he can come in on it too, because I've met him before, he's a decent.
Well, like I say, I don't think there was any communication. Tom. Yes.
I would just like to add a couple of comments about enforcement. We live on the border of Blount and Loudoun counties, and even ADT can't quite get it straight of which county has jurisdiction when you call in an incident. We tell them we're Loudoun, and they're like, no, you're Blount. and this happened when we had to call in an incident that was running on livestock, and no one knew how to respond. So I think there is the one patrolman, Officer Hartman is the one who's been on our case, he's been wonderful. But we may need more people to patrol. We need that enforcement because, that presence and actually taking action on it will hopefully start to change behaviors as well. And I also have another comment and update, about the floodplain management and flood-related issues if I have a moment.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just want to really express our appreciation to the mayor, to the county mayor, Betty Bradshaw, to the county commissioner Satterfield and Representative Linda Russell, who came out on March 29th. They brought about 12 other people from Loudoun and Monroe County to talk about the flood-related issues over the past few months. We actually approached the meeting more from an agricultural perspective, impact to the land, which we're still having. We got 1 inch and 2 tenths of rain between Sunday and Monday. I've lost my rotation pasture again now into a swamp. We got our lanes about to overflow again. That was less than 2 inches of rain. So there's really no tolerance left in that regulatory floodway anymore, and that's why we're really trying to get everybody to come together to improve the floodplain management. We did get consensus, at least, to try to get a new Tri-County U.S. Army Corps of Engineers study to identify what we need to do to the regulatory floodway of Bakers Creek watershed. We sent the Bakers Creek watershed study out to all of the members who attended so they could kind of get a feel for a lot of the impact Blount County is having with runoff into that watershed, so you've got a lot of runoff and you've got excess rain and you have that much tolerance for it in that floodway. And so farms and other people are getting impacted. So a couple things, we had the state National Flood Insurance Program coordinator out there that same meeting. She's willing to work with Loudoun County's planning and codes enforcement to create and identify what they need for floodplain management plans, floodplain erosion management plans, and consider doing an audit to determine any even more gaps that need to be shored up. I have reached FEMA Region 4 in Atlanta. I've spoken to the preparedness coordinator and their hazard mitigation folks down there. They're working with their FEMA Region 4 representative, Tammy Henson, I believe is her name, and she's going to work with the state flood insurance, National Flood Insurance Program coordinator, Amy Miller, to try to bring us in some more support for that core study and resources to help us become a best practice on how we can prepare and respond to these wetter seasons and things like we've been seeing. Because when I talked to FEMA, he goes, well, you've got the wrong department, this is preparedness. And I said, well, not necessarily. I said, having the plans is part of being prepared. That's why you make the plan, to reduce the hazards and to prepare, when the anomalies like the excess rain occur. Just a couple of updates is that Congressman Burchett will be out here in Greenback on Monday, April 22nd, to do a visit about the impact of farms. Marsha Blackburn's office and the Blackburn's office will most likely come at that time or shortly following. Again, the purpose of that is to try to get emphasis and resources through FEMA and or the Corps so that that burden doesn't necessarily all fall on the city and the community, and then we can get more support for the Tri-County study. The watershed runs through the 3 counties, and it was very, very clear from the state flood coordinator that it has to be approached from a holistic, along the waterway approach to solve the problem, that it can't just be Loudoun County's problem. And FEMA flat out told me today, or yesterday, that was going to be difficult, trying to work amongst counties. And I would write back at them with their own regulations that says, it is the intent of your regulation for the NFIP program that you are supposed to work across municipalities to solve what needs to be done in these plans to make them effective and to make them enforceable. And again, if we don't enforce them from the federal level to the state level and to the local and community level, everybody doing their job and part of the way those regulations are intended, we're all going to be at risk. We're all going to suffer more damage than we should. And there were some folks there from Monroe County on the Monroe-Loudoun border that had a lot more property-related issues, but it was very, very clear to me that this is something from a planning and emergency management perspective. Won't be a quick fix, won't be a quick solution, but it's definitely, I think, worth something to invest in.
A lot better, and I know it's making you feel better that you're making at least a step towards something and something is happening. And I appreciate you coming and keeping us informed about it because it does affect our whole community, so thank you for that.
Any more? I'd like to thank Mr. Parrish and Mr. Slager and Ms. Davis for attending this meeting tonight. And I hope we all have a safe way home, and I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I say.
And I appreciate it.